Today marks the last occasion of the 6th series of our Dharma talks. And if you remember the title, we said, "We are the way." What does that really mean? It means that, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our own. We are not alone. We have other realms. We have other beings. But in terms of our efforts, we are on our own. We cannot expect that a higher realm or a higher being or beings will save us. We can only expect that our correct efforts bear fruit. That's why I feel privileged, among many other people, that I could be Zen Master Chong An's student while he was alive, and I had the opportunity to listen to his teaching for many years. Many of his students listened to him for many years. He gave precepts and taught thousands of people. How much did we understand of what he had taught? That is the question. In our lives, if we can display the true meaning of his teaching, the Patriarch's teaching, the Buddha's teaching, then we are the true followers of the path. If not, we just listened, but we never understood. And it's also clear that just with one move, with one instance, it's impossible for most of us to realize the path or to attain full awakening. What is possible humanly in everyday life, that we moment to moment make an effort to become clear, attain awakening, and help other beings from suffering. We have heard wonderful teaching phrases: only don't know, only go straight, help others, put down your thinking. We have heard this, but what did we really understand? What did we really realize? And this is a time really to look inside and attain and perceive the clear picture. This is not the time for feeling guilty or feeling elevated. No positive or negative excess is necessary. What is necessary in relation to the teaching, in relation to the way, also in relation to our everyday lives, what is really necessary is a mind which in this moment sees clearly, which is clear like space, clear like a mirror, which perceives the world and oneself exactly as it is, without any distortion. We have spoken about many, many kinds of karmas during the last 5 occasions. Individual karma, group karma, various kinds of dualistic thinking and our relation to them. If we attach to this karma, if we hold this karma, if we check this karma, if we want something with this karma, then we veer off the path. Then we lose our way. And our mind, instead of keeping this clear mirror consciousness, becomes chaos, becomes a collection of opposite forces. And what is wonderful about human beings, that we can return to the one. We can return to one mind. We can return to no mind. And out of that, we can create 10,000 karmas, 10,000 names and forms. So it would really look like this, that once we clearly see that there are 10,000 dharmas, 10,000 names and forms, like 10,000 leaves on a tree, we return to the root. We return to this one mind from which this was created. From the 10,000 thoughts, we return to one thought. What is this? One question. And from this, we return to zero. No mind, no question, no coming, no going. And then we are free. We are free from the 10,000 bondages. We are free from the 10,000 karmas. Now what do we do as human beings? We create again. That's us. Don't be afraid of this. Our job is to stay clear, whether we have one mind, no mind, or 10,000 dharmas. Don't be afraid of any of this. There is no good and bad in here. This is the message of the path. This is the message of the teachers. Whether it's 10,000 forms, or one mind, or complete emptiness, there is no good or bad in this. Remember that. This one mind can be called in 10,000 ways. It can be called God, Buddha, one, primary point, nature, many names. And just like with the 10,000 dharmas, the 10,000 names and forms, with all these names, there is no good or bad in them. Equally they are a lie, and equally they are truth. No name can describe our true self, so every possible name is usable. The real question is, if we do this, or we return to this, why? When Zen Master Seung Sahn was asked about life, about being born on this earth, he said something fundamentally important, which, when I first heard it, really shook my being to the very core, to the very bottom. He said, originally, to this question, there is no reason, and there is no meaning, and we have no choice. But if you attain your true self, then big reason, big meaning, big choice appears. Now what does that supposed to mean? When we come into this world, we are bound by 10,000 causes and conditions, and we want to know why. But unless we return to our true self and wake up to the true nature of this world, we will never become free from these causes and conditions. And unless we become free, we have no choice. We are bound by time and space. We are bound by the 5 skandhas. And for that, there is no reason. There is no ultimate reason for our suffering. So unless we wake up, we don't find the reason, we don't find the meaning, and we have no choice. But if we wake up, then great reason, great meaning, and great choice appears. How? When you become free from any dualities, you choose your direction. You choose what you wish to create. We choose what kind of world we want. And that has big reason. That has big meaning, because we have a choice. So if we attain our true self, we have choice. If not, then some kind of karma, lots or many, doesn't matter, but some kind of karma binds us. And our choices are becoming limited and limited and limited and limited. And if people are totally ignorant, then we have no choice at all. If people are completely awakened, then we have all the choices we need. You are free to give any reason why you are alive. You are free to give any meaning to your existence. But if we do not come back to our true self, if we do not come back to this clear moment, if we are attached to past, present, and future, we are tied and bound by our own making, by our own illusions. And this is the only human error that we can make. But we keep making it for the last couple of thousand years, for sure. My introductory is short. We have a lot of people tonight. And if you have any questions, which I hope you do, then from now on it's your choice what we talk about tonight. What you would like me to answer. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, Sunim, I've come to think that this one that we call the Buddha, which I recently read is a Western tradition, and that in Theravada there are many Buddhas, but the Buddha had one great message more than any, and that was to be open. And this is how he found his truths. this is what it means to me. And so, sometimes when I'm in my Sangha with Chong An Sunim, Gyatso Sunim, or I go to Anyang at Hanmam Sonwon, and I encounter others who are focusing on one or another manifestation, Amitabha Buddha or something, I can't say that it's wrong because it's real for this person and it's working. But I sometimes want to say that maybe the openness is the truest thing. And that maybe even the Buddha didn't have all the answers. And that's not wrong, or as we would say in Christianity, sacrilegious. I wonder if I may ask you to comment on that kind of perspective. Because recently I was reading, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Wahola's What the Buddha Taught. Mm-hmm. And he says that the Buddha didn't believe in a spirit. And the Buddha didn't believe in any gods. And so to me, he was a very rational man.
First, the most important question, how do you keep your mind open? How do you do that?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Really? You want me to say what I do?
Absolutely.
I've always thought, even when I was a Christian, that I don't know anything. You know, I was first taught to believe in God, but I wasn't satisfied with the whole story. And then when I got introduced to the concept of Juingong, as Dehang Sunim teaches, I latched on more to the idea of the oneness of all things. And again, that humbles me. And so I just imagine that I am part, like a drop of water in an ocean.
How do you handle opposites views? When somebody says that all this that you have described as your spiritual nourishment is not true. How do you keep your openness at that time?
I realize that it's probably that person's perspective, and that it doesn't negate what I think.
Well, the person persists and opposes you and argues with you and persistently says, you're wrong. What do you do?
Then I feel like I'm doing something right.
That's where war begins. No matter how humble you are, which is a wonderful value, if self-righteousness arises, that moment, there's opposites. So, there's a great story with Zen Master Joju, and most of you know this story, but I rehash it anyway, as you probably like to watch your favorite TV show over and over again. So Zen Master Joju received students, young students, and the first enters and says, Master, please teach me. Then Joju says, where do you come from? I come from the south. Then Joju says, south? Yes, sir. Then go drink tea. The attendant says, okay, this way. And next student comes in. Joju asks, where do you come from? From the north, sir. From the north? Yes. Then go drink tea. So, attendant, this way. No more students. The attendant is kind of having a little break and says, sir, can I ask you a question? Attendant, of course, yes. First came from the south. Next came from the north. To both of them you said, go drink tea. Why? Then Joju says, attendant, yes, sir. Go drink tea. So I think the greatest skill is not to be smart or moralistic about opposites views, but to completely ignore the view and totally consider the human being. I don't care what your opinion is. My relationship to you and to any of you and to every one of you does not depend on your opinion, your views, your thoughts, even your emotions. It doesn't matter. So if you're attached to thoughts or emotions, soon there will be your counterpart coming and will give you such a hard time that that's a humbling experience. Sometimes you just feel as a drop you are part of the ocean and you are strongly one with your Juingong, and next moment, should that be a month or a year or 3 years later, you are ready to totally go into war for being right. And I'm not projecting this on you. Everyone can observe that in your lives. So how do you get rid of these opposites? When you mentioned your experience with Christianity, that although you were for some time part of it, but you really didn't know what God was about or what the whole thing was about, that don't know is a good start. And in Zen we keep this beginner's mind. So keeping this don't know mind is actually your lifesaver. I didn't know much about Buddhism when I started. And I know even less now. And I keep repeating this don't know, and it seems to work. Because people just get it, that it doesn't matter what you know about Buddhas or the Buddha. In fact, in Theravada, they don't talk about that many Buddhas. Just before Shakyamuni, there were a few of them. But they don't have the whole arsenal of Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana, it has a whole army, the sacred army of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then lower realms, deities and demigods and all this. You go to a temple during Choharu, it's amazing. There are hundreds of Bosanis before the Shinjung altar, and they do invite the deities. They do connect the worlds. They do open the doors with their minds. That's a kind of openness, you know. They strongly believe in this, and you should feel that atmosphere, what's going on. I leave it to you what you experience there, okay? Again, go in with the mind of no right, no wrong, and observe. Observe what's happening, okay? And just to kind of augment on what you mentioned, the issues of other beings and gods and deities and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, if you think they are separate from you, it's a mistake. If you think they are the same as you, also a mistake. Don't make the same or the different kind of consciousness. And lastly, just a pinch of salt, just a little bit of Buddhist history. This particular issue you mentioned belongs to the 14 unanswered questions by the Buddha. Okay? Students kept bothering him about the existence or non-existence of gods, the existence or non-existence of other intelligent worlds, read it, and the finite or infinite nature of this universe. Basically, these three issues expanded into 14 questions which the Buddha persistently refused to answer. He had 49 or 45 years to do that. He never did. Why? For one simple reason, so that we do not lose focus. Human beings had better focus on our own existence, on our own homework. Don't watch movies. Do your homework. Don't watch the universal movie or the deity movie or the other beings movie. Do your job. And this job is really centered around the Four Noble Truths: the fact of suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the way to end suffering. This is the Four Noble Truths. And then it centers really around this one point, which the Avatamsaka Sutra says, that if you wish to understand the true nature of this world, then perceive it as created by mind alone. In one sentence, you've got the key. In one sentence, the whole responsibility is in your hands. In one sentence, you become spiritually adult. And you cannot blame anything and anyone else. It's your mind. It's our mind. That's why we are the way. That's why it's our steps that defines the way. Nothing and nobody else. So the real path, no matter what it's called, no matter in what kind of clothing it's practiced, means that we grow up. We spiritually become adults. We take responsibility based on the true perception how we create this world, how we create our society, how we create our rise and fall. Then we have a choice. We can choose. So I hope my comments are really, really useless and you don't attach to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I think so, because you're a human being, And to me, it looks like I am the way is too much for me. I need something, something. I need some grace to help me to go down to one and stay there.
Where's the 10,000? Where's the one?
All in me.
Wrong.
All in you.
Only the two of us? That's very small ownership.
All the world, whole world.
Where is it?
Everywhere.
Then nowhere. Okay? So if you say it's too much for you, that I am the way, we didn't say that. We are. It's much more comfortable. We share that responsibility. But yours is yours, hers is hers, mine is mine. But we all share that because we are interdependent. And this kind of interdependence makes us truly and absolutely related as humans. We are not isolated. But each one of us has this responsibility, however, not in an isolated fashion, in an interrelated fashion. So the way you take responsibility for your life directly affects me. It affects me whether you are begging in the street or driving a Genesis, okay? Okay? It's your choice. It's your life. But the way you choose affects everybody else right there. So you are not alone. And concerning the 10,000 and the one, originally they don't exist. We make them. We make them so that we have a grasp, we have some kind of understanding that helps us at the beginning. Remember the Zen circle? Zen circle starts with 0, when people have no questions. People just blame others and expect something from the world. And 90 degrees is when you have this understanding, which we tried to polish during the last couple of weeks, months, and years. That's where you have 1 and 10,000. The 10,000 is 1 and 1 is 10,000. That's all where we can get here in this environment, in this kind of way that I speak and you listen. But if you all practice together and I shut up, which is a blissful state, then we get to 180. In this 180, no 1, no 10,000. Okay? Of course not. A little more suheng necessary. But to make it a little easier, just to give you a little taste of it, when we all clear this intellectual structure, what color is this board?
White.
That's it. That's enough. Nothing special is necessary. I'm pointing this out so that you don't expect any miracles during your practice. Expect that your mind mirror becomes clear, and this moment you really see clearly, hear clearly, taste, smell, touch, and taste clearly. Nothing else is going to happen. Whatever happens is your karma, your up and down, your personal heartbeat in the Dharma. But originally, this is just white. Okay? So if you have this not understanding, that's actually much better than reading and memorizing all these books. Just stay clear. Okay? Just to give you a little bit of a metaphor. Carbon, which is black, and we call it coal, and we burn it, no? And diamond is chemically exactly the same. But diamond has burnt under the ground by high fire, slowly. That's how carbon became diamond. Carbon and diamond, and also graphite, has the same structure. Chemically the same structure. The arrangement of the molecules is different. But it's all carbon. Likewise water. Ice, steam, and liquid water, they all have H2O. But it depends on us what we do with it. So it depends on you what you do with your consciousness. Understanding helps you? Fantastic. Use it until 90 degrees. Then leave it behind and go to your attainment. Then 270, you attain freedom. And 360, you use your freedom correctly. Okay? Good. More questions?
Thank you.
Actually, first of all, I want to thank you and everybody here because even though it was just a few weeks, my life seems to be more simpler and more focused. And it was kind of got some kind of really fundamental medicine for the sickness. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, because I'm a kind of beginner, whenever I bow mantra, it was really great. But after I do meditation, and I wanna just cut the thought. Thinking is coming, going, and then everything, and then cut the thought, and then try to don't know. But it didn't work for me because whenever I just focus on my dungeon and then just don't know, and then all those D, O, N, apostrophe T, everything is floating and I 먹고 이응. So these days I just focus on my breath, just breath, and then something comes up, just let it down, down. But would it be okay?
It's much more okay than having the don't know floating right before your eyes. Because when don't know floats before your eyes, it's not don't know. Don't know originally doesn't float. So, what you did is actually very natural for many, many beginners, you know. We try don't know, we try to imagine it, or we try to grasp it, or we try to cut thinking with thinking. It's okay, not good, not bad, but far from the real thing. So when you started to watch your breath, it's good. But one more step is necessary. Perceive what is breathing. What is it that's breathing? So when you have thinking, you try to oppose it with don't know. That's what most people do. They have thinking and they try to hit it with don't know. As if you had fire and you try to have some CO2 or freon gas or water to put it out. And by now, most of you who tried it this way, in the opposite way, you know that it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. What we should do is actually move your focus from thinking to no thinking. Take the energy out of thinking and remain unmoving in no thinking. Don't divide your mind. You are all this. This is all you. So don't divide yourself by this. Don't do that. Empty the whole thing out. How? Remove the energy from thinking and feelings and return it to your tanjong. So watching your breath as it rises and falls in the tanjong is very good, but again it's not complete. Ask, keep the question, what is this? And if you practice the question correctly, then the words of the question will disappear, but the question itself remains there. It remains there as a clear perception. You live in the question. You are the question. But there is no words. There is no mantra. There is no floating. There is no coming or going. But your mind doesn't move. And then you hear the sounds. You hear all the sounds in this moment. No distraction. No making, no holding, no attachment, no want, nothing which your mind usually does. Completely not moving. Completely not becoming. That's beyond life and death. That's beyond dualistic thinking. So watching your breath is very good because that connects your mind and body. Then your mind stops to travel, okay? You don't watch your breath and you just sit and shut your eyes. Oh, in 2 seconds you are in Los Angeles. Or you are in your favorite movie theater. And you start watching whatever you want to watch. Zen students, they like don't know movie, okay? They shut their eyes and, oh no. In nice calligraphic style, okay? Or, imoko. And they watch the movie. But don't know movie is not don't know. Okay? So, stay clear, stay in the moment, stay with your breath, and use the question to open your mind. The question opens you. Definitions and thinking define and limit you. Remember that. That's why we use the question. If the question itself did not open our consciousness, it would be useless. It would be like some kind of academic inquiry. At the end there's a line, okay, that's it, finished. Don't expect any answers. The question is the way to break down the walls of your cognition, to break down the walls of yourself. Keep the question, and your mind just returns to infinity. Okay? No time, no space, no name, no form. And that's what you get when you hold your Hwadu correctly. First you use the words of the Hwadu. Then the words disappear. But this mind remains there. Okay? So try to do that. It's not difficult, it's very easy. You are halfway there. Okay? More questions? Any kind of question, no problem. Yes, right there.
Thank you for taking another one. I'm not a monk and I'm not a master, but when I see other people struggling with meditation, I tell them, and please tell me if you feel this is wrong, I tell them, what do you mean it didn't work? There is no it didn't work. You're just sitting and you're breathing. If thoughts come, maybe they're there for a reason. Look at them. Just don't attach to them. It doesn't matter if 1,000,000 come. Maybe you'll get a good idea. And some of my Dharma brothers in Sangha have said, no, you're not supposed to get any good ideas. You're supposed to eliminate the whole thing. And I say, the wonder of the universe could come through this window. Why would I close it? Let it come, you know. But just don't be upset by what you see, and then let it go. Is that all right? That's how I try to teach friends, you know, in the absence of a teacher like yourself.
Not good, not bad. But there is a lot more important issue than good words or bad words about practicing. Stay together and practice more. So in this case, the EQ is more important than the IQ. Do not alienate your fellow practitioners by any kind of speech. Should that sound okay from a rational, intelligent point of view, or should that sound totally wrong in terms of Buddhist intellectual norms? There are records that the Buddha even taught the existence of the self to certain students. All the time he talked about no I, no I, no I. And to certain students he talked about the existence of I. So this speech, this tongue, is empty. But in a given situation, in a given relationship, what does it do? What does it do to the other human being? I mean, I am from a European culture originally. That's where my group karma, landed me. And I could observe throughout my studies and my early years of life, in this lifetime, what human beings do with key concepts of their lives. So if you notice the meaning of God in Europe in the last 2,000 years, it's staggering. It's horrendous what human beings have done to each other for the meaning of one word. Or if you notice some other key concepts like science or social order or happiness, what human being or national identity, that's again a very interesting thing. What human beings have done to each other, how many millions of lives were lost because they argued about the meaning of one word or another, should that be meditation or whatnot. And again, I'm not polarizing what you're going through, but I'm emphasizing one thing. Together action is more important than anybody's view. Should that be the right view or not? Practicing together really means that you are in this big water bowl of the Dharma, and the teaching is the liquid, and you are the practitioners, are these little pieces of potato. And together practicing is really like mixing this together, and then your hard crust cleans off. And then all the potatoes become clean. So, yeah, use your best to help them. But the most important thing is stay together and practice together. More important than anything else. And then you see that if you have this loyalty to yourself and loyalty to others, then over the years you get some pretty good results. And it's primarily visible with those people with whom you disagree but stay together. With whom you agree, it's kind of a simple matter of course. You are friends, etc. from the beginning because of your inyon. That kind of content brought you friendship. But what about your opponents or even enemies? You still stay together, you practice together, your views are different for years, but there is something that both of you attain because you stay together in the same sangha with the same practice, with the same teacher. There is something you attain which is beyond your views, beyond your personal aspirations, beyond your opinion. And that's the precious thing. So human beings have a lot to say to each other. But that's not so important. Human beings have a lot to do together. That's a lot more important. So help them to the best of your abilities. And if I just may give one piece of direct advice, especially for smart intellects like you or me, it's very important to know when to keep silence and when to talk.
The problem my whole life.
Sir, you are my true Dharma brother.
Thank you.
More questions? Professor, I know I can count on you.
I think it is very hard to keep the first mind. When we keep the first mind, then there are lots of confusion and there is obstacles, many obstacles. So whenever we want to keep the first mind, then we face some difficulties, the permanences, because nothing is forever, nothing is permanent, and our mind is more changeable than the things. So we faced many obstacles. Then how can we overcome the obstacles? That's the problem, I think so.
Originally, no obstacles.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's right.
Why there's no obstacles?
Human beings make something and they enter the ocean of suffering. So if you don't make anything, then there is no hindrance. All hindrances are made by our consciousness and the completely wrong attitude towards the creation of our consciousness. Because first of all, we lost sight of our creation. We believe that someone else did that. No, we did that. So if you really realize that you made that happen, then you see the way you've made it, then you see how you unmake it. You bring your energy up to your center, thinking center, lots of thinking appears. You bring your energy down to your tanjon, thinking disappears. Only little noise, then even the noise goes. Then mind becomes very clear, very still. Originally no hindrance, but we made them. And if you perceive how it's happening, you can change your direction from making to returning to this, as you say, first mind or clear mind. This clear mind has no making, no holding, no attachment, no wanting, no checking. Then you're clear. So if you perceive an appearance as non-appearance, this view itself is Buddha. Which sutra has that? I'm asking you, Professor. Now it's time to take an examination. Which sutra has this saying? So if you look at appearance as non-appearance, this view itself is Buddha. If you look at hindrance as no hindrance, this view itself is Buddha. Which sutra has that?
Dharma Sutra.
Correct. Diamond Sutra. New professor appeared.
But sometimes we read the Dharma Sutra or Vajrayana Sutra to, in order to overcome our hindrances. Then still we face some difficulty to protect ourselves, our mind, keep our mind.
I have bad news for you. Just by reading the Diamond Sutra, you will not overcome your hindrances.
Just the thinking?
Even worse. Just thinking, even worse. With Diamond Sutra or any kind of scriptural study, you get to 90 degrees of the Zen circle. You get to understanding. And then you have to do your suheng, your practice, correctly. We have mentioned that before. And then you attain this no name, no form. Complete one moment. Completely clear mind. And then, that point, when you hear the sound, that point is the gateway to liberation. But if you just read the Diamond Sutra, it's not going to happen. Or, if you just follow the form of practice, also not going to happen. There's a great story between Ma Jo, who later became Zen master, and Huang Sunim, Huang Po, his teacher. So Ma Jo Sunim was practicing really hard, up in the cave, up above the temple. And Huang Sunim, he heard that there is this really strong young monk who sits and doesn't move and really clearly practicing. So he decided after a few weeks to test this young monk. He goes up there and he asks, Sunim, you're practicing really hard. Why do you sit so much? Then Majo answers, I sit to become Buddha. So then, what happens is that Huang Sunim grabs a roof tile and a stone, and with that stone he starts to rub the roof tile. Now, what I'm doing is not noisy. I don't want to make big noise for obvious reasons. But what Huang Sunim was doing was very noisy. It was so irritating and unbearable that Ma Jo was listening for a few minutes and then, boom, exploded. Why are you rubbing that roof tile? So Huang Sunim said, I'm making a mirror. So Ma Jo says, no matter how long you are rubbing that will never make it into a mirror. Then Huang Sunim says, no matter how long you are sitting, that doesn't make you Buddha. Then, totally frozen. Ma just totally stops. Then Huang Sunim asks, if your cart doesn't run, do you hit the cart or your horse? Ma Jo heard that, got enlightenment. This is a very important story. So find a horse. Don't read the user's manual of your cart. Don't hit the cart. Don't count the wheels in your cart or the spokes in the wheel. Find a horse, hit the horse. Then it goes. So most of the time when Sung San Seni was teaching us direction, underlined 3 times, direction. That was the meaning. It was really important. Direct your energy to the right place. Really attain your don't know mind. And then help all beings. Direction is more important than technique. It's way more important than sutras and writings. And if you remember the 4 principles of Zen, they teach us exactly that, except that it's a little bit more explained. It's a little bit more explicit. First, do not depend on the scriptures. Second, directly pointing to human mind. Third, attain your true self, become Buddha. And fourth, transmission from mind to mind. These 4 principles define Zen. It's enough to know this, and then you practice, and if you keep these things, you will never go wrong. Still, you have to work, but this is the basic direction. Do not depend on anything. Directly point to human mind. Attain your true self. That makes you Buddha. And then transmission from mind to mind. Don't expect anything special. Okay? So, sutras are great. Just don't attach to them. Okay? More questions?
Because we have a strong Confucius traditions, so depend on the Confucius tradition. Just thinking without sutra, without books, then it is danger. And the reading, just book without thinking, is absurd.
Yosunim, if thinking was dangerous, you would be a very stressed out person. And you're not. You're a happy professor. So thinking is not dangerous. Attachment to thinking, that can be dangerous. If you believe what you think, that's really dangerous. Use your thinking. Use your thinking to help other people. But don't attach to it and don't identify with it. Because then it kills you. It's like a snake. If you use snake's venom correctly, it becomes medicine. It becomes wonderful medicine. Joint problems, arthritic pains, you get ointment which has snake venom in it. But if you're attached to the snake, and you sleep with the snake, and you touch the snake and put it on your body, then soon enough, then this same snake venom kills you. Same as thinking. Okay?